like the powers of three, and focus on those three things, love and respect, learning and creating, and taking care of my body, taking care of my mind, so, but look, it's easy for me to say this, but you have no idea the shit that I've been through in the last 5 years. I
Yeah.
mean, I almost didn't make it past last year, so it was, you have to go through, you got to hit rock bottom before you start to build a plan to the future, like people only change when they have to change. When you lose everything, it's a good motivator to change. And if you don't, you lose, and that's why people end up taking their own lives, man. You know how many friends I've lost because of they didn't make the change? It's messed up. This life gets we get stuck in the rat race, man, and
Mm.
it's hard. It's hard, but yeah, I'm
When,
here to I'm here to say, like, look, we can do it. Everyone can do it, but you just gotta put a plan together. You gotta build a plan and work the plan, and have commitment. Take small steps every day. So, anyways, sorry
let
to
me,
rattle off there.
no, no, I mean, you're speaking our language, I'm not going to put words in Rob's mouth, but I don't know if I hit rock bottom, but like I've definitely hit patches that I think and thought that they were rock bottom for me. Only time will tell. But one of the things that I was just thinking about is when we record these shows, Rick, we're you can ask Rob. We don't have a massive following. Like when we record for one person, right? There's
Yeah,
one person out there. Whoop. There's one person out there that might walk away feeling edified for the day, and that's who we record for. And so I kind of want to. I don't want to challenge you on what you just said because I love everything, and you're speaking our language. But when you talk about love and respect, leading with love and respect, and you talk about taking time to have a plan for your health. And what was the third one?
learning and creating.
Learning and creating. Let's talk to the superintendent who gets up at 4 a.m. but doesn't have the hour because they have to be at the job site at 5:30. Is in a VUCA environment. And Rob and I talk. I don't know if for the listeners, VUCA means volatile, uncertain, um, changing, and ambiguous, right? Um, Working in a VUCA environment, stressed out, probably living in what we call a scarcity mindset, either by choice or by circumstances, might be going through a divorce, right? Might be dealing with addiction, might be dealing with substance abuse, might be dealing with depression, undiagnosed, mental challenges, um, job site or the project's behind, right? And let's be honest, all leaders in construction talk a big game about, hey, we care for our people. But as soon as a job is over budget, beyond schedule, no one gives a fuck about love and respect.
Yeah,
No one gives a fuck about health. And no one definitely gives a fuck about learning how to play Metallica on the ukulele.
yeah,
So
yeah.
what like how does Joe or Lisa, whoever the superintendent is that we're recording for today, how do they actually do something? Like, this all sounds great, but like, how do they get the rubber to actually get traction on the fucking road?
Yeah, man. Great question. Thank you for asking it. For me, again, it was hitting that rock bottom. And I realized that I always put everybody else in front of me. It's we all travel, right? You get on a plane. What do they tell you? Put the mask on yourself first, and you put it on somebody else. So that's not how we operate in society. It's all about somebody else, our kids, our wife, work, somebody else, somebody else. And I got to the point where I was like, fuck everybody else. What am I doing for me? So I wake up. I have a plan. What am I doing for me today? 15 minutes. Some days it's, I don't like that routine is best case scenario, right? Some days I wake up a little later. I have 15 minutes on a ook, or, I don't do my Spanish learning or whatever, right? But I always focus on what am I doing for me first, you know? And to be honest with you, like I wake up earlier now because if I have to work at 8 or 7, I'm waking up earlier. So what that means is I'm going to bed earlier. You know what I mean? Like so it's the mindset. It's a mindset shift. And it's a selfish. And people have said to me for long, "Were you so selfish?" And I'm like, now in this point of my life, I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking selfish because if I can't help me, I can't help nobody. If I don't help myself, how am I going to help somebody else? You know what I mean? So like, it's hard. It's still hard to do. Again, a lot of things I talk about, simple concepts, really hard because it takes commitment and it takes putting you first. So for Joe, who has to wake up at 4 or whatever, there has to be a shift in the mindset to say, what am I doing for me? How do I balance me first so I can give to others? Because again, leading with love and respect and innovation is about helping improve life. If you can't improve your life first, you can't improve nobody's life. So again, it's a mind shift. It sounds easy. It's hard to do. But it starts with you saying, I put me first. I put me first.
You know, I know a monk, and he's not like a monk like Friar Tuck from Robin Hood, and like he's not like that. But and he's not a Shaolin monk either. I know you're into Shaolin, but you know what he taught me, and this I want to share because you nailed it on the head. There's a big difference between being self-centered and selfish. And I think what you're talking about is centering around yourself. And there's absolutely nothing wrong. This is what he told me. There's nothing wrong with being self-centered.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's everything wrong with being selfish, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because selfish is doing things for your own gains, focusing on yourself first to help others. That is, that's the yes and, yeah, I'm going to focus on me first. I'm going to do something for me for when I start the day so I can help others. I need to balance myself. That Rob and I, for a couple of weeks, we've been talking about the breathing, the 478, 487, or 487, right? Or 478. Rob, 478, right? And I've been doing box breathing. When I swim, I do 40 laps freestyle and I do 10 laps underwater for 25 meters.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have people say, that's some Navy SEAL shit. Why, and I'm like, that's nothing to do with that. It's about, and why the Navy SEALs do that? It's to focus energy. It's to work your body under stress. When you're holding your breath and you're swimming underwater, your body's going through an incredible amount of stress. When you perfect that, you are able to calm your mind. Like, I love swimming because it's like meditation for me. Like when I work out, there's always external forces. When I ride my bike, there's external forces, and like, it's hard when I see people riding their bike and listening to headphones or running and listening to headphones. It's like you're missing the part of the point, being outside and being part of nature. You're disconnecting. But for me, like being in the ocean, being in swimming, like my head is in the water, like the movements, the repetitive, it's meditation for me. Like hypoxia training is, holding your breath, right? And it allows your body to work better, your brain to work under stress. So anyways, I don't know how I got into that, but yeah,
No,
hopefully it makes sense. Yeah.
no, it's all good stuff. I mean, for those that have listened to a couple of shows, and Rob knows this about, like, for me personally, right? I'm really into yoga philosophy, right? And
Mm,
I'm not into like the namaste bullshit. But
yeah.
yeah, when you're in a challenging pose, like it has nothing. It's not about Lululemon and getting fit, right? Like if you look at me, I am not fit. But when you're in a challenging pose and you focus inward on your breath, right? Like there's something mental that happens that it is sort of like innovation, right, for your body.
Yes.
It is bringing your best self forward. And
Absolutely.
Rob's got the breathing, right? The breath work that Rob talks about. These are all great things, right? And they don't. The superintendent that doesn't have time to focus on themselves, they have fucking 16 seconds to do, or however many seconds it takes to do a BAMO breath, right?
Yeah.
A 4, 7, 8, which is what, 20 seconds? 19
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, like yoga, the poses, right? So, like, I do a lot of research around health and fitness now. In my 50s, I'm not working out like I used to work out when I was in my 20s and 30s, right? So it's more compound movements and one thing I read the other day, which kind of ties into what you're saying about the yoga poses, is like our body grows not by moving weight, right? You do the deadlifts, the squats, all that good stuff. Yeah, if you want to build muscle and you have a specific goal, it's one thing, but your body changes when it's under pressure, right? So time under tension, right? So poses, like that's why like the whole plank thing is so important because when your body is holding tension for a long period of time, that's the innovation. That's when your body kicks on the growth hormone saying, "Oh, we gotta change. We gotta adapt." Right? So holding those yoga poses, it may look weird or from the outside, but it takes a lot of tension. It puts your body in tension and you're fighting it constantly. Like even like in martial arts, the horse stance, you see the old movies and they're standing in a horse stance and they're wings. It's all about time under tension, right? And that's when your body and your brain starts to fucking evolve. It's not moving fucking as much weight as you can. That's why like a lot of the new techniques is about, holding movements or slowly moving it,
Controlled.
like that tension. So yeah, that is, you're right. It's tied to innovation. It's, what promotes our body to, you know, release growth hormones, so we can grow.
I'm going to
Man,
try
that's
something.
good wisdom. Go ahead, Ian.
No, I was just going to try something. I want to bring it back to construction and technology
Let's do it.
because you could argue. I mean, one of the things that a lot of people talk about is margin compression, right? Being one of the root causes for a lot of the ills in this industry. Um, Not here to talk about margin compression, but I am here to talk about the fact that shit hasn't changed. I've been in the construction industry directly for a few years, but most recently for the past decade, selling construction tech, right?
Mhm.
So I've seen it, and I know what the tech game is. I'm probably not doing my career any favors by saying this out loud, but the industry has been under intense pressure and has been holding the pose, right? So would you say, we just mentioned that, hey, when you spend time under pressure, that's where innovation and performance actually improves, right? Would you say that the industry is not adhering to that, or are you saying that um, that now is the time that the industry has been under pressure for so long that now is the time for innovation, whether that's mental innovation for individuals, whether that's tech innovation, whether it's um, project delivery innovation, right? Like it could be anything. What can you maybe elaborate on that a little bit?
I love this. I love this. So this is yes, I think the tension is exactly, it's now is the time, right? Now is the time. And here is a fundamental thing that we suck at in construction and AC overall. This is every single discipline, right? It's built on disrespect. Our entire industry is built on disrespect because all we're told is build faster, more produce, higher safety, higher quality. But what we're missing is is support, right? Like technology adoption fails not because the technology, people love to blame the tech. Oh, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. What they fail to realize is technology adoption always fails because there's a lack of support from leadership. And that support looks like education, training, support. The fundamental, when you break it down in a root cause of the problem that we have, because we've been under tension and we're seeing it even more, is because of a lack of knowledge management. So I'm a big fan of knowledge. Started off with communities of practice, right? We suck at knowledge management. Like I worked at firms where, 7,000 people. Well, HR had an L&D department of 3. And guess what? None of these HR people know shit about operations. but yet they're building training. And I'm like,
Well, you got these companies that are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe millions in technology. And I'm going to ruin my career. Watch this. It's all the fucking same. First of all the tech is like, yeah, maybe it's a little different, but at the end of the day, it's all the same. But how many people are not educating project managers to understand the importance of earned value, right?
yeah,
Project managers still flinch when you say earned value. I know this for a fact.
yeah.
And so, like, why are people spending so much money on just the technology? I'm not anti-tech, but you would think that people would want to say, hey, let's teach our project managers, our younger project managers, even superintendents, let's teach them what is a whip? How is it used? What is earned value? How is that used? Let's teach them how to manage projects.
Yeah.
And let's invest in upskilling their ability to handle the cognitive chaos of construction.
Yes.
Let's invest in a breathwork course. How fucking great would that be to have a project team not spend days doing namaste shit, but spend a couple seconds in a very high tense situation doing some breath work, right? Like that's a competitive advantage if you ask me. These are just my opinions, but
Well, no, I think it's a yes and scenario here, right? Yes, and I think that's one of the I guess tactics that we can use to help our people. But like fundamentally, like so I remember being told you need to create a case study, and I'm like, I'm an integrated construction person. That means I work with all these disciplines. So, but I have to create the case studies, right? I have to do it. Why? Because you don't understand what I do. That's why I have to do it. Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. So here's what we did at Mortensen. Another like, shout out to my homies at Mortensen, especially my IDAT Integrated Delivery Advancement Team, our community of practice, right? So 2010, we were charged to integrate BIM and VDC into operations. So what we had to do, we're doing clash detection. I remember me going on job sites and PMs saying straight up, I don't know why you're here, but you're taking money out of my bonus. I mean, literally. And showing up to help the concrete crew because I was doing concrete lift drawings using the model to help reduce rework and improve efficiencies because that's where we made money. Not on the 2% fees, it was on the self-perform because we drove critical path. Superintendent, I've been doing this for 20 years. I don't know why I need you here. So like I had to prove my value. And how do you prove your value? You educate others. You document what you're doing. You show the value, right? So we basically every single VDC person had to create VDC reports, right? It was something that I helped implement. And it was cost aversion. It wasn't, I found 10 clashes. It was like, hey, we work together as a unit, and this is the outcome we achieved using the digital tools. So we started documenting, right? And it was just doing it because we were told, you need to prove yourself, straight up. Business leader, you need to prove yourself, right? People are directing construction, right? So I'm used to it, right? So we started doing it a couple years later, started harnessing that data, harnessing the stories, the one-pagers, quick cost aversions. In 2012, we engaged the University of Minnesota, right? We got hundreds of fucking VDC reports. We have projects that we've done. Like we have all this data that we've been documenting for years. Hey, run an analysis. Show us the value outcome. Prove it. Because when I tell leadership, they don't believe me. They call bullshit on every number I present. Even though the numbers came from PMs and SUBs and trade partners, right? I was just the messenger, but they love to shoot the messenger. So I had a neutral entity do it. Came out with the 2014 Importance of VDC report. Over 18 projects. The value of BIM and VDC, right? That report was a result of people sharing knowledge, educating people. Like we didn't just create the knowledge. In the process of creating the knowledge, we had to educate the PM, the trades. Why are you doing this? Why are you asking me this? Where's this going to be? Like, who wants this information? So we were educating them. And next thing you know, the report that we gave for our PM, we gave it to the superintendent from the trades or the architect or the owner. And next thing you know, we started building capabilities of understanding. Now people are like, oh, we're not doing clash detection, we're managing the point of release of coordination. And when I talk about point of release, people are like, what are you talking about? Because all I hear is clash detection. And I'm like, project manager and superintendent doesn't give a shit about clash detection.
Nope.
All right.
Really...
Your weekly reports mean nothing. They're a system of record. And let me tell you something. If you never got sued or was in a claim for a project, clash detection reports come in handy. So it's important that you do it. But that is not the purpose. All right. Because no PM is watching or reading a clash report. They want to know who they need to apply pressure to so we can get to the point of release. What is the point of release? To buy shit, procure, to fabricate shit, right? Why? To maintain our schedule, right? So the philosophy is like, we can't be teaching people how to use the tools because that is the way. That's a means to an end. You got to teach people the value that integrating these tools into how we work creates value. And that's where the performance piece comes, right? So you get your purpose. Why are we doing this? The point of release. Every design entity, every engineering, every construction entity has a point of release. The designers have a point of release to share it with the construction team so we can plan an estimate, right? We all have points of release. So like taking the 5P strategy, understand the purpose. And the purpose is not just the purpose of the project, the purpose of the people. Each person has a purpose. Each person has a purpose. And each person is performing a process. And those processes are interdependent. Estimating is not separate from scheduling, which is not separate from, it's all one interdependent system. Right. So once you start understanding that, and then you figure out that's where the platform comes in. And the platform has 3 goals. How do we better communicate with the people? And in the BIM side, it's how do we visually communicate the plan so we can enhance collaboration of the stakeholders, because we're all trying to solve the same fucking problem, man. We're all working toward the same goal. But if you listen to legal and risk, no, you can't share that. You can't do that, And then the ultimate opportunity is performance. And we track so many KPIs. I know it's important for us to track safety and quality and all this stuff. It's important, yes. But the only true measure of value in life, again, innovation, is time. Because time is the only true measure of value, right? It's the only thing that provides context to anything we do is time, right? And time derives cost. So when you think about scheduling, it is king. You've heard the term, scheduling is king, because scheduling derives cost, right? Because a schedule has people, materials, resources, equipment, flow, right? So you can't treat these things separately. So going back to the common denominator of knowledge management, if we are going to solve the tension, we need as the industry to invest in formalizing knowledge management. What does that look like? It looks like, we hire interns. I remember, working at Mortensen, man, we would hire hundreds of interns, and half of the time I never got approved for hiring full-time team members. But I had a budget. I would hire 5 interns. Guess what they were doing? Document. They were converting tacit knowledge to explicit knowledge and sharing. They learned more doing that than having them build a model in Revit. Right? So imagine this. Construction companies, these big firms, they hire hundreds of interns. Stop putting those interns on jobs to do tasks. Make them document managers, documenting knowledge. Interview superintendents, PMs, figure out how to translate their knowledge. Because the problem we have in the industry is we have an IP leakage, right? People are leaving the industry. And by 2030, 50% of our senior knowledge workers are retiring. That's a lot of knowledge leaving, and it's tribal knowledge. And we have job anxiety in our industry because that superintendent is a rock star. That knowledge is his power or her power, right? The PM, same thing, no matter who they are. There's executive leaders who grew up in the business, who made a successful business. That knowledge is gone because there's no formal knowledge management. You know who's You know who's getting that knowledge?
It's extinguished.
Yeah, it's done. So if we want to solve the problem, focus on the basics. You know, Lean and Toyota, you know, they talk about a learning organization. We don't have many learning organizations in the AEC industry. We say we're a learning organization. You know, the learning organization looks like this. Every job description has a fundamental requirement, documenting and sharing knowledge. What's your requirement? Your salary, your bonus should be tied into that. You know, like every project team should be implementing after action reviews, you know, something developed by the military. You know, if you have never heard of it, it's a simple way of documenting a mission, right? And it's about people. It's not about war. It's about the safety of people, right? What's the intent? What was the plan? How did we work the plan? What went wrong? It's not about Joe Schmo fucked up. It's about why did Joe fuck up? What can we do better to help Joe so he doesn't fuck up in the next mission? You know, let's get to the root cause. Let's be easy on the people and hard on the problem, right? So, anyways, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, you know, but this is the wired piece of me, man. This is, you know, so, anyways, you get the point, right? I think I don't need to continue. The knowledge management is key.
So you said,
That's a
I just
good
want to
point
say,
right there, dude.
I just want to say one thing that just really stuck with me. Is it kind of sums up this entire episode, right? And it applies to projects and business, but also to the individual. Once again, the person who's listening to this. Be easy on yourself. Be easy on the people. Be hard on the problem.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
That's it. I didn't make that shit up. I learned that from people. You know, the guy who I learned that from was Chris Allen. He was at Mortensen. He came from White's. He was a PM, and like he kind of led the Seattle team on the VDC front. I learned a lot from him, man. And that was the one thing I remember him saying that. I was like, "What? Yes, man. That's it." The whole 5P process. I mean, he helped me with that. You know, he helped me understand purpose and people and process. Like all the shit that I talk about, I didn't make up. I learned, you know, and it happened through tacit knowledge. It wasn't someone sat me down, Rick, here it is. It's about learning and creativity. How do you, again, that's one of those 3 key pieces of success, right? How do you continually learn and use your creativity to figure out how to take that learning and apply it? Because learning means nothing if you don't apply it. So
that's a good point right there, Rick. Appreciate the knowledge, man. Thank you for sharing your story, your passion, all the nuggets that you shared today, man. Thank you for coming to us, sitting by the campfire today, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I know I talk a lot, but I got a lot to say.
It's golden nuggets, man. Ian, appreciate you today, sir.
You bet, dude. Always good to see you guys.
All right. That's all the time we have for today. Rick, thank you again for coming and sitting with us. I can't wait to see where your journey takes you next, brother.
Thanks, man. Have a great day.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for listening to this episode today of the Salty and Wired podcast. We hope that you got a few nuggets of wisdom from this conversation. Now it's time for you to go out and try a couple of the tools that we discussed today and build your blueprint for change.